My name's Kathy Over, and I've lived in Williamsburg all my life. Williamsburg was not Williamsburg when it first started. A man by the name of Jacob Bake came from Maryland, pretty much just to look for, as it says, his dream home. And he came up this way, and he was fascinated by this area, especially the Big Spring. And it produces about 6 million gallons of water every day. It meanders all the way from the Big Spring down through to the trail, to the river, to the trail behind me. And that was back in 1790. And to put that in perspective, it was about 7 years after Yorktown and George Washington was president of the United States when Williamsburg was founded. So we've been here a long time. When he came, it was called Town. And he decided after a while that he renamed the town Williamsburg because one of his sons' name was William, and that's how Williamsburg eventually got its name. Williamsburg had a lot of firsts in its history. We had the first free public education in anywhere in Blair County because Jacob Bake was very concerned about public education. Williamsburg also has always been really concerned and put a lot of emphasis on their education.
My name is Mike Jones and I'm the high school principal here at Williamsburg. So before this year, we were already starting to make some changes. Like we added a vestibule in our building. We're trying to always think of safety measures to be able to protect our students and our staff. And as March hit this past year, during in 2020, that definitely changed things. There's been a lot of things that we've had to change. We've had to change the location of our cafeteria. We've had to change the procedures in our students moving throughout the hallways. We've actually changed the schedule. We went from a 9-period day to a block schedule just to help mitigate the traffic flow and the interaction of students. So there's a lot of changes that we had to do, and I feel like every day we still have to be ready to make that next change. I'll tell you this, I've never had students so excited to be in school because I think they were so tired of the virtual, they were excited to be back in school.
Another first we had was the trail back here that people walk on and bike on and enjoy so much here in Williamsburg was actually a canal path. And where you walk and ride on was actually where the mules pulled the canal boats from down in Huntington area clear up to, at that point, to Hollidaysburg, where it would get on the Allegheny Portage, up over the mountains, and down into Johnstown. And after the canal era ended, it became railroad tracks. And Williamsburg had a good set of probably 2 or 3 sets of tracks. And the trains would run clear from Harrisburg to Altoona and on. Where the Martin store is right now, that was actually the railroad, the rail station. So that was the first here in Williamsburg.
I'm Greg Williams. I moved to Williamsburg approximately 4 years ago. My interest in the trail is as a naturalist. So in the 4 years, myself and lots of volunteers, probably 300 to 400 volunteers over those 4 years, have planted about 1,700 trees on the Lauer Trail alone. The trail has several kind of biological aspects that are unique and worth preserving. For instance, there's cerulean warblers who are a somewhat endangered bird who nest along the trail. We're also interested in putting native species that will feed the native insects, which feed the native birds. So we're reintroducing species that were here 100, 200, 300 years ago, thousands of years ago, and trying to get the habitat to become more diverse, which will make it a more kind of stable environment into the future.
My name is Jennifer Barefoot. I've been involved with the Rails to Trails since before this trail was down. That began back in 1988. In '89, we formed an organization, Rails to Trails. There were 7 original members. When we first proposed the idea of a rail trail coming in here to Williamsburg, rail trails were unknown. We proposed to the town that we're going to clean up a trail and bring in recreation and it has grown astronomically. And I should point out that the Lauer Trail was the very first rail trail in the United States that was privately owned and open free of charge to the public.
Another first that Williamsburg had that a lot of people don't know about is also the story of Amelia Earhart. But she didn't go, the first time she went across the Atlantic, she didn't go by herself. She went with a gentleman who was born and raised here in Williamsburg. His name was Wilmer Stoltz. And in 1928, he and his friend Lou Gordon, who was a mechanic, took Amelia Earhart and they flew across the Atlantic, and that was before her actual voyage across. And actually after the flight, they came back to Williamsburg, and there was a huge parade, like a ticker tape parade. But her first flight across the Atlantic was really with somebody, the plane piloted by somebody from Williamsburg. Another important thing that Williamsburg had that people don't know is, and you may have heard of him and you may not have, his name was Charles Schwab. And when Williamsburg decided, using the spring and using all the trees around here, after the iron industry kind of fizzled out, steel became important, they built what was called the paper mill. And it actually borders the trail, the ground borders the trail. But he had at that point gotten, besides himself, people who invested over $1 million to build the paper mill. And the paper mill became the big industry in Williamsburg.
The area where our parking lot was always just an abandoned part of the old gas station, the gas station exit. Now in the summer it becomes like an ice cream shop. There's now, I see a food truck wagon that's now doing foods along here.
Hi, my name's Walter Weaver. I'm part owner of Belly Buster's Food Truck and Catering.
I'm Alicia Bradley. I am the wife of Joshua and a friend of Walt.
We started Belly Buster's probably about 3 months ago in Williamsburg, and we've got nothing but love from Williamsburg. Everything's amazing. The people support us. We can't thank them enough. The trail, when we set up here, we set up out front, so obviously the trail, people can see us. So numerous people come off the trail to have Belly Busters or talk to us.
But Williamsburg now, we have a rich history. And I think our history is going to develop into what happens now in the future. There are a lot of great places in Williamsburg to live. It's a wonderful school district.
We found that in retirement, the housing was very affordable. We actually even got a piece of land that has an acre, and we have our own forest, and we never thought that was possible.
Rails to Trails is a great organization, and we're really fortunate to have the trailhead here in town. So we see a lot of people from out of town utilizing that. And I think at this point, as far as being a business owner and businesses, we just have to learn a way to get people to kind of want to stick around a little longer other than just using the trail. You know, what's going to get people to stick around for lunch somewhere or come up and grab a mixed six to go or things like that.
Our basketball players, they use the trail to run. Our cross country, they use it to run as well.
I'm hoping to kind of create more of a relationship with Williamsburg School District. There's talk about, they used to have a nature trail behind the school. Maybe we can revitalize that again and plant more trees around the school. So as a naturalist, this is a wonderful place to kind of travel along, to get immersed in, to stop your bike, get off your bike, see what's here, what's there.
My name is Dave Cato. I guess from a Williamsburg standpoint, I'd be called a lifer. I was born and raised here. We have some strengths. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful place. It's a safe place. It's a safe place to be. You can walk down the trail at 2 in the morning and not feel like you're going to get mugged. You can walk down the streets. This is a good place to be. Hopefully we'll be able to show it to people and say, you know what, here's an idea, because everything we see around here has been an idea of somebody. This house, this where I'm standing beside, everything's been an idea. It's like, where are we going from here? Things aren't the way it used to be. It wasn't like, well, let's get a business. We have to do this. We have to do this. Like, where are we going from here? And that's kind of where we have to figure this whole thing out. So you got to be creative. Coach's words, knock it the crap off. Let's pick one another up and make this community a place that Jacob Ake and Charles Schwab saw back in the day. Here's the baton. What are you going to do with this community?